Hello, Helen. Um, Finally, and I first of all want to say thank you for making the time. Thank you for this nice pre-chat as well. So we had a lovely briefing just now before obviously starting to record, and yeah, it's late evening, but still light where we are. So I'm hoping the light, because my light is the window, the normal sunlight. I'm hoping that stays because I'm not prepared for any putting on any lights. How about yourself?
Yeah, no, thank you. And yeah, just to say, reiterate the same, really. So nice to see you and also, chat about all the good things that you and I are both doing and other people and everything like that. So no, it's more than happy. And yes, I'm also reliant on a bit of the light. So if it starts going dark and we fade into
Yeah.
darkness, then we know to finish.
Yeah, exactly. Ah, perfect. Yes, and you're absolutely right. So I guess we rewind a little bit how we met, which was lovely. We both had the Lego Serious Play training with Sean from Serious Work. And that's now a good 6 months ago, isn't it?
Yeah,
Which
yeah.
sounds, weirdly enough, sounds like isn't that long. But for me, it feels like so much happened in the last 6 months. I don't know. I just did my 60 half year review. It's like, gosh, there's just so much going on. And I guess maybe because of very likely 100% because of the Lego Serious Play training, because obviously I was trying to, like, I came out of this training with so much like enthusiasm and ideas to actually, yes, and this is how we can do it and this is how it can be done. And I guess from my area is very different to yours, because I'm using it for team building and yeah, team collaboration topics, where yours is for yeah, education and the young people index. And that's why, see, I wanted to have this session with you, the interview, because that's a topic I'm curious about, being a mom myself, but then I also know from some of the companies I work with that they are looking into that much more, and they are also curious about how to engage, help, support, help people, like young people, grow. And the young people index sounds like a wonderful tool to
Yeah.
make it fit. So can you maybe just introduce yourself a little bit, because yeah, people will probably want to know your background a little bit, and then let's dive into the young people index.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, and absolutely, 6 months has gone whiz by, and the serious Lego play was amazing and brought lots of like exciting new sort of thoughts around how to engage with young people into the work that I'm doing, not only with young people in schools, but in the university that I work in as well. So I was really excited. I think after I left, I think I waited a few weeks and then ran a few sessions with actually adults in a university first of all, but that was great, and then took it into a university and used it with students. So straight away I was really utilizing it. But just to go back a little bit, and just give everybody who's listening a bit of background. So my background actually has been in the world of sort of HR for a long time, 20 years or so, which is a long time, and then sort of transitioned around 7 years ago into the world of education through an accreditation through the GC Index. So this is kind of giving a little bit of context. So the GC Index is the tool, the assessment tool that is used in organisations for in the adult world, let's say, so over the age of 18. And I was introduced to that around 7 years ago when I was looking at wanting to go out as a consultant to sort of work with organizations that were people centric, and just really wanted to sort of have a tool that was a niche tool. And I thought, the GC Index, what is this was really intriguing for me. But actually during the session, the accreditation session, and I read my report, and there's so many people that talk about that aha moment of when you have your GC Index report and you read through it, because it just really sort of validates maybe some of the feelings you have about yourself and how you work. But actually what I realized was, the first thing that came to my mind during that session was, I wish I'd known this when I was younger. And that was the turning point in my career, which sounds very sort of dramatic, but actually what happened is I basically took what we had as the GC index, because the GC index didn't really, there wasn't any kind of educational background or research or anything like that at that point. And so I took it with Nathan and John's permission, who are the co-founders of the GC index, took it into my son's school down in Dorset in the southwest of the UK, and sort of introduced it to them to sort of, really trial it with senior teams, and really just to explain what it is, because some people might be thinking, what is she talking about? The GC index, or the Young People Index, is an assessment tool that really helps young people understand much more about themselves. So it's an online assessment where a young person find out about their natural energy, their inclination to do types of work when they work in a team, if they're working in a group, on a project, or in the future in an organizational setting. And so what this does is this allows young people just to find out more about themselves, but without a focus on academics. So this is about looking at their strengths, looking at their energy to make an impact. And this is something that's not done in schools an awful lot. They aren't using assessments in this way. And so it's really, for the last 7 years, I've been using that in schools, colleges, and we're branching into universities, and helping shape sort of their career frameworks by introducing the tool alongside a set of workshops. So that in essence is sort of what the Young People Index is, and how I got involved with it. So hopefully that shines a bit of a light on what it is.
It does. No, and it's lovely to hear your own personal story, how you, like, that point of the maybe eureka moment that you had, but aha moment, I don't know, it sounds like, and I agree, I would have loved to have that, because I've done so many of those tests when I was already in my career, always questioning myself, is that actually really the stuff I wanted, or is it something I was suggested to do? And I actually had this topic, like full disclosure, the other day as well, where I mentioned that I always wanted to psychology. I always wanted to study psychology, and I'm not upset about it. It's that I didn't. But yeah, there was a moment I wanted to do it, and my parents were the ones who said, "No, let's go for economics because it's probably better." And I think that's probably one of those things, right? So I guess there's always this what if in later, well, in adult life. What is the age? Can you just maybe give a few like concrete, like what is the youngest age you're using it, or you have been using it, or the type of setting or environment? Are there any people that are included or excluded, or is there scenarios?
So basically, when in the very beginning, we tested it on sort of young people who were sort of aged around 12 or 13. And what was really interesting was, and I didn't realize at the time, were these young people going to understand the questions to get the results? But actually, were the young people able to interpret and understand what it was, what the insight was telling them? And I was really, really surprised at those young people at that age, some more than others, were really receptive to it. They were able to understand the content and the context of what we were talking about, even though some of it was about organizational settings, teams, and working with others. They were really in tune with it. So I knew instantly that actually this was something that we could use at a younger age. But actually what's happened over the past few years is that we've noticed with schools and working very closely with them that there are some real key ages when the Young People Index is really useful. So one of which is when they're taking in the UK the GCSEs, so around year 9, when they're having to make a choice about their next career step. So we have used it before they start sort of choosing it, so really helping them think about what might be best for them in terms of the subject area. And then we get asked a lot with schools to come in at sort of year 11, 12 and 13, where they are actually also having to make decisions about their futures, whether they go to university, whether an apprenticeship is the right thing for them. And this has been really helpful. So there are some key sort of age groups that I think is, really sort of focusing in on those really important sort of times in the school, journey for them to take it. But in answer to your question, it is for any child that is at the age of sort of 12 to 13 in that year group up to the age of 18. And once they reach 18 and they're out of sort of college sixth form, then they would take the GC index, which is more suitable for sort of organizational settings.
Interesting. And I guess you then, to obviously join the dots a little bit, or connect the bricks maybe in a better metaphor. You then started the Lego Serious Play.
Yes.
As a training, and you started using it in combination with the Young People Index. Can you to share a little bit more about that, as like how do you do both, and what did you find?
Yeah, so it's still quite early days for bringing the Lego Serious Play and the Young People Index together. So I've not done lots, but the real intention behind it was to use the Lego, not just with young people actually, but in an educational setting, in an organizational setting, really. So it was to look at sort of that whole journey from young person to people working in education universities. But what we did with the Young People Index was, once the young person had the insight, so they had read their report, what we were able to do and what I designed was some build questions around, so, you know, build a model that describes the energy you like to make within a team. And that might sound like a bit abstract to somebody that hasn't taken the Young People Index, who hasn't read their profile or their GC Index profile, let's say. But what it allows them to do is, rather than just thinking it or talking about it, is they're thinking through building, like Lego Play does. And it allows you, you know, to really sort of
visualize it,
but you know, like I guess all the learning styles really.
Yeah.
And it really helps sort of bring that out, and sort of not having, because some people find it hard to articulate, but actually through building, they're able to sort of tap the bricks and metaphorically speak about something in a different way. And, you know, like you will have experienced, you know, without using the Young People Index or a GC Index tool, the brilliance of Lego Play in that scenario. So, you know, we've built the design, the design questions, the build questions around the insight that they would have already started to look at, and then to sort of help them articulate it through building. And, you know, that's, again, something new, but I think is a really lovely, wonderful combination, the both of them together. And also it's creative, it's playful, it's engaging for young people. So you've got the combination of both, and you've got that wonderful personalized insight from the report that makes it even more meaningful for that young person building the model.
I guess it's yes, no, obviously we have the advantage, for those who are listening and who don't know what we're talking about when we talk about Lego Serious Play, but when we say build questions, it is, you get your set of Lego bricks with different shapes and different colors, and depending on obviously the topic that you want to explore, like Helen, you just explained with your personality area, you end up, and I personally have seen that even today in a workshop, in Lego workshop, you end up being able to articulate and to visualize and have a 3D model, right? So you really, and you remember, right? It's that whole combination of from your head into your hands, and you actually really create that, and I guess have this something tangible, right, at the end of the day. It's like, yes, and that's what I am or want to be, or I can see how this, and it's beautiful. Now I can see how it works with that audience.
It is great, because I think young people, you know, that they find it hard to talk about or articulate, even saying the word articulate. You know, for young people, it's about, you know, how do I talk about myself? How do I understand myself? You know, sometimes that's not so easy. So having a personalized report helps them, because they can read about what their report says based on the questions they answered, but actually then using it as a build question, so asking them about what's in their report by building a model, it just breaks it down even further and just allows them to not overthink, but build and then share and then reflect, which, you know, you do in a group setting, and that also helps, you know, build trust with all of them in the group, again, which is something that you know, a byproduct of all of it, really. So early days with it, but brilliant, love doing it.
It's, I guess, my next thought, and well, you're the expert in that, but I'm curious to hear, is really, you have so much insight, and I guess this, well, method fundament from the Young People Index, etc. as well. Are you planning, or is there something where you're using it to actually take it a step further to I don't know, shape something else? Because obviously all the insights that you're collecting would be useful for, well, the education system, right? So and is there something you're...
I think, you know, in time, absolutely. I think, you know, it's early days in terms of, you know, trying to change and you know, the education system as it is. You know, it's, you know, a difficult one. But I think what we hope to do is really help, you know, young people and ultimately schools through education, and schools are coming through as partners now. So, you know, whole schools can adopt the Young People Index and the GC Index as part of a bit more of a holistic approach to how they view everybody in the school. And we've got a system where we can look at the data across the whole school. So it's really informing, you know, decisions with senior teams and teachers, and how teachers are teaching classes. You know, we've got that aggregate data. There's a lot of data there. And I do hope that, you know, with that data, with that insight, we can help push, you know, the government to look at sort of education, you know, and get more of a sort of a collaborative approach with them. In terms of looking at, you know, actually we're using this, and look at the data it's providing you or us. But again, it's early. It's too early to say what that might look like in the future. But ultimately, you know, our intention is that every young person has an opportunity to take the YP Index in a school setting.
Yeah.
And once they do start taking the Young People Index, they can take it for free once they've you know, if they start in year 8 or whatever year group it is. You know, this is a global product, so I'm talking about the UK. But if they start it in year, you know, at the age of 13, they can take it up until the age of 18, and we can see that kind of longitudinal, sort of hopefully longitudinal study of where they are developing, because this is a snapshot of time. The Young People Index is a snapshot of time. It's not saying that this is absolutely fixed. It's where they are now. So it would be a wonderful journey to sort of look at their development through to the age of 18, and then potentially further on into their careers when they're working in organizations or working for themselves, that type of thing.
Which brings me to the question, maybe if I would listen to this conversation as well, and I never heard of it. I'm curious now, as a young adult or parent of one of a young adult, what can I do? How can I access it?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. So for a parent that's interested in helping their young person through taking it themselves and going through that process, then they can contact the GC Index website. The GC Index website has partners like myself, who can then sort of take that parent and child through the process of a report plus some sessions to review what the report and interpret it for them. So that's one way. We have a lot of parents that do that. We also have a lot of skills that become schools that become partners, and that's where they completely manage the whole process, where they, you know, take year groups through the process in group settings. And again, they would go through the GC Index website and make an inquiry that way.
And if I'm a teacher, what if I'm a teacher and I'm listening to this and I'm like, I would really like to do that with my class?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, again, with the teacher is to contact us at the GC Index. There's a form there. You can have a look at everything related to the GC Index in organisations, or the Young People Index website as well, which is accessible there, and make an inquiry, and then we can have a conversation really about understanding the needs, whether that's a parent, whether that's a school, whether that's a teacher, whether that's whoever it is. We have so many people from different walks of life coming through the accreditation process.
Nice. Great. You know, one of the things that I'm obviously always curious about is how we collaborate with, well, in general, right? So with other organizations and the learning from each other, how partner and collaboration with other organizations works. Is there, well, have you collaborated? Have you had a partnership that you can share that worked really well in order to help you as with the Young People Index to get out there, or some experience? that you might want
Yeah,
to?
and I think collaboration is the key. You know, we can't all do it alone. And, you know, in my time in the last 7 years, I've had to reach out to so many people, whether that's, you know, collaboration with businesses that have sponsored the Young People Index. You know, lots of businesses have got involved with sponsoring programs in schools. So, you know, businesses, if you're listening and want to get involved with
Perfect.
initiatives, that's one way of collaboration. Collaborating with other educational institutions, so other people that are working in that space. So we're currently looking at working with, I can't say at the moment who it is, but it's a well-known charity in the educational space, you know, looking at how we can embed into already existing projects and programs that already exist, so we can just complement you know, what they already have. We can easily do that with the Young People Index. We've had collaborations with other, you know, I've worked alongside other people that have got a passion for working with young people, and run sessions together, you know, bringing each other's sort of really unique skills and approaches. So that's been a really nice collaborative project. But there's been many, and I think, you know, it's what makes, you know, things move much more quickly.
Yeah. I always hear and keep talking about also with the others, they never be afraid of asking, right? So that's the thing. Like if we would just sometimes overcome our fear of asking for support, then you never know what's on the other side.
Yeah, and there are so many. And we had this discussion earlier in the sort of pre-meeting, is that sometimes, you know, a lot of people that come through or ask questions about the Young People Index are just people that have never probably worked in education, but they've experienced either good or bad, mostly bad, unfortunately, or not great experience, where they've come out of school feeling like they didn't do particularly well and they want to change things. A bit like why, you know, one of the main reasons, you know, I sort of came up with the idea of taking it into education was because my experience was not great. And I think that those individuals always ask, well, how could I take it into my son's school, daughter's school, or whoever it might be? And I say, look, you can just approach, you know, there's enough marketing material to approach a school and bring to life, you know, why you think it's important. And that's what I did. And how I explained is that I didn't come from a teaching background. All I came with was an idea and also a belief that something like the Young People Index can really transform a young person's life positively. So I really encourage people to, you know, get involved, reach out to schools, you know, introduce it to schools, even if they're not going to be involved with the, you know, the running of the sessions, you know.
Yeah, and that's great. And I think I guess one question also to you is, using this platform for listeners, etc. Is there anyone, if you could pick anyone in the in the world, either organization or individual, that you would like to collaborate with or partner with, who would that be?
I think, God, there are so many, but I think for me, the one sort of charity is the Prince's Trust. You know, they do such brilliant work with young people. You know, the Duke of Edinburgh Award, everything like that, I think, and the Young People Index is a great way, you know, the combination of, you know, what they run and what we can do. I would love to do that, because
I definitely can see the link. 100%.
Yeah, so that would be, for me, would be to work in collaboration with them. Yeah, for sure.
I'd love to. Well, you never know. Well, fingers crossed. You never know. It's on the vision board, and now it's we talked about it here. So once we share ideas, there's something magical sometimes happens. You never know. Great. That's fantastic. I think I want to say thank you, Helen, for taking the time for doing what you do as well, because frankly I can see this benefiting so many families and individuals who using your Young People Index. And I'm excited and looking forward to seeing more and seeing the Lego series play combination as well. And I'm certainly one who's trialing it at school too. So yes.
No, absolutely. And it's been a pleasure talking about it. I mean, I can talk for hours, as you can probably guess, about, you know, the joy it gives me in seeing the young people, and also, you know, just the positive impact it's having. So, you know, long may it continue. And yeah, the Lego serious play and the YPI combination is great. And you're more than welcome to come along to some sessions and, you know, get involved. That would be great.
Good point. Any last shout outs, something happening in the next, I don't know, some events or topics?
Yeah, they're not open public events, but there's one running next week, an event where we're using the Lego play and this and the Young People Index. We've also got a couple of work placement people coming on board next week who went through the process a year ago, so we're really excited about their 6-week placement with us. So they're getting involved with some content. But yes, so that's happening next week. That's the next one that's happening. So that should be good.
Nice. Great. Well,
thanks, Andrea.
Thank you. And we'll speak soon. And yeah, we'll definitely catch up. And anybody who is interested, I will post the links in the comments, and questions always welcome. And yeah, thank you, Helen.
Thank you.